Hi everyone, we are here at Vallejo Access Television. We're your host, James.
And Maya.
We're here with a special interview today with Heather the Heat Hanley. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Excited to be here.
Oh yeah. Heather, I wanted to ask you, how did you get started? Like, when did you know that was what you wanted to do? Give me like a biography. Like, what was going through your head? How did you do it?
So I started racing when I was 9 years old. So I've been racing for almost 10 years now. I began at an indoor karting facility known as Driven Raceway, located in Fairfield, California. And after about 6 months, I had won 104 out of 107 races. And we, as a family, sort of decided to take the step to go professional. So I began racing outdoor go-karts for another 5 years after that.
That is awesome.
So, what is legend car racing? Like, what is that?
So I got into legend car racing right after I raced go-karts. I began about almost 5 years ago now. Legend car racing is basically powered by a Yamaha 1250 engine. Goes about 125 miles an hour. And they are the most difficult race car to drive in the world. So the reason that I made the transition was because I knew several people who had raced them before, and they could help me sort of with the transition into the car. But I also wanted to challenge myself as a driver and build my craft.
That's awesome. It sounds like you have a lot of passion and dedication. What made you feel that way about racing?
There's so many reasons why I love racing. It's kind of like hard to put into words. Everything about it. I think the reason that I love racing the most is because I am sort of like alone, in the car. Mm-hmm. Nobody else can sort of like change how I drive or impact what I do at all. So I love that the most, the fact that it's mostly instinctual and all based on just my pure talent and things like that. So. But it's also just, it brings us together as a family, between me and my dad and me and my mom. It's really awesome when it comes to how it can bring people together, build a racing community. So
I know that you bring up family a lot. That's an interesting topic. So who are your biggest supporters that you have that help you with your driving?
So I have a pretty big fan base and people who support me. I definitely value it. It's such an important part of racing and growing as a driver. So I would say since the beginning, my family, my mom, my dad, and my stepdad have always been there, have always supported me. We've made a lot of sacrifices as a family. My dad sold his Harley and moved out of his house just so that I could pursue my passion. And so I would say that, us four have been really close and have supported me through this, but also just a lot of sponsors and people who want to put down money or, put down time just so that I can further, in my career. So.
Wow, hey, that's totally awesome, honestly. So there seems to technically to be 5 female drivers. Deegan Robinson, Donica Patrick, Tammy Lowe-Kirk, and Mara Reyes, who have won poles. What do you think about them and the race car drivers versus female race car drivers?
I think it's super important that female athletes in general come together and support each other. It's something that has grown a lot in recent years, but still has a long way to go. So it's super important that we back each other in any sport. But it's also important that we sort of recognize that any female athlete is just like any other athlete in the same sport, and we're fighting just as much and just as hard as everyone else is. Especially in racing, it's hard to tell. I mean, you can't look at a race car and say, oh my God, that's a female driver. We're all in the same. We all put on a helmet and a fire suit, and we're all behind the wheel. So it basically just comes down to talent and skill, and it doesn't come down to gender or anything like that. So it's important to build each other up, but it's also important to recognize that we aren't, disadvantaged or anything like that.
And I get what you're saying, because like as like, you know, as a female athlete, like whether in high school, college, or whatever the case is, it is really hard to like assert yourself in like, you know, any sport, because they just look at it like, you know, oh, that's male, female, or whatever the case is. But it's just like everybody goes out there and everybody puts in the same amount of work, and what you're doing is really inspirational for like girls everywhere, because, you know, it just shows like, you know, you don't have to like, it doesn't matter about if you're a girl or a boy. It matters if you're ready to dedicate to it. So what are some of your goals that you have like going into this? Like what are goals that you have and have set for yourself?
So my ultimate goal in racing is to make it to the cup level of NASCAR. But honestly, just making it into NASCAR would be something that would be really, really important to me. I also want to become a role model to children and just build a legacy that, you know, lasts far longer than my lifetime. So it's really important to me that I carry myself as a professional, and a lot of kids look up to me because I think it's super important that we show the future generations, especially females who are looking to get into a sport like racing that's male dominated, that we can do anything that they can, and we aren't, you know, less than at all. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now Heather, what is some of your racing schedules, and do you have a website?
Yeah, so my website is heatherhadleyracing.com. You can find my schedule there. You can find where to purchase these.
Awesome shirt.
Thank you. And pretty much any information like about me, you can read about my story, or you can make it out to a race if you know you're around. But I like to travel all over. This year I'm going to be a lot more on the East Coast. So I'm going to be racing in like North Carolina and Texas. But you know, if you don't live in any of those places, I might be racing where you are. So check it out, heatherhadleyracing.com.
Yeah, and I know like a lot of your fans are like, it's not just one set of fans. Like you have boyfriend, like boy fans, like, you know, girl fans, any shape, color, size. Because, you know, anytime that you do something like that, it shows anybody that they can really do something. And honestly, it's cool because to me, you're inspiration. That's just honestly great that you're like trying to show like it doesn't matter, and it's awesome.
Thank you so much.
So I guess one thing that I'll ask is like, would you be able to come back for another interview? Do you have any time?
I would love to come back for another interview. My next race is March 14th, and then after that I'm kind of going to be like traveling all over the place. But anytime I'm back in town, I'll let you guys know.
Thank you.
I'd love to come back. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's been really fun.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming through and giving us that. I just think that's totally like just awesome, and it's so inspirational to so many people. You know, the fact that you could go up there, you could do this. You know, me, I can't. I get in the car, and it's going above, you know, 90 an hour. I am freaking out. So that being said, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So,
Yes.
thank you, Vallejo, for tuning in to VCAT, and we'll be on the lookout for more great shows from Vallejo Community Access Television. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so